I love your art, and I want to see where I can buy your art, Daniel.
Oh, send someone your address and I'll send you a piece.
Daniel, show it to the camera. Show her what you've been
Yeah,
doing.
let me.
I just am painting 105 little paintings, and then I'll rip them up and I'll sew them back together, and then I'll rip them up again and sew them back. Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hi, nice to meet
Ah,
you.
nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for your time. A pleasure
Of
to talk to
course.
you both.
Thanks for doing.
And yes, what an amazing documentary. I love it. I, you
Thank
know,
you.
fill my heart with a lot of like love. And also, of course, we get emotional because I'm a mom too. So I was like, oh my God, so good. So,
Thank you so much
so
for saying that.
of course. So let's like from the beginning, how did you guys find him? Found this family, and what was about them that got your both attention to make this amazing documentary? Ed?
Well, Ed and I both had heard this story before. I mean, we read about the Pelletier family in the media, like a lot of people, and we understood immediately that it would be an amazing documentary. But at that time, we didn't think to go and make a documentary about it. Instead, our friend Ahmed Day, who was working at a company called MRC, came to us and said, a couple of weeks later, we were working on making a film about this family. Would you guys like to collaborate with us? And I immediately called Ed and I said, Ed, there's this amazing story. You know, I want to make it with you. We'd have to travel the world and make this film about this family. And then Ed said,
Yes, where do I sign up? Can you imagine receiving a better phone call than that from one of your closest collaborators and best friends? It's kind of the call you dream of as a filmmaker. So we were just, it was to answer the second part of your question. I think what excited both of us about the family is we'd seen them in interview, we'd read about them, and then, we spent some time with them before we started filming. And they're people, it's easy for people to come across a certain way in interview and then be very different in real life. And they are so fiercely themselves. And it's a very, I would say it's a very, very specific trait of people from Quebec specifically too, but they're relentlessly and fiercely themselves. And so when we got to meet them, they were so positive and just so easy to be around and so natural immediately. And they're the kind of subjects you dream of as documentary filmmakers, people who are going to let the camera do the talking and let you tell the version of the story that's going to speak to the biggest audience and let you do do the job that you want to do. So we were just thrilled from day one about what this would mean. And also the kids were crazy. And also Daniel and I both love kids, love fighting with the boys, playing with the boys, playing with Mia. So they're just this energetic, beautiful family that is as true on camera as they are in real life.
Yeah, I spoke to them, to the couple, and then I told them what a beautiful family you guys have, and what a great idea. And I think that can inspire any family to go,
Mm.
not even if it was a small vacation, doesn't need to be a year traveling. So, but it's what an amazing story. So,
Mm.
and talking about the kids, like, because sometimes kids, of course, they follow the rules and everything, but sometimes they have their own
Mm.
agenda. So
Mm.
I was like filming with them and be around them, like to keep the good narrative of the documentary.
kids are great because they are compulsively themselves. They seemingly don't really care that the camera's there. And kid logic, the way that they think and feel and engage with the world, is inherently bizarre and weird and wacky and cinematic. And so working with them was, kind of like a documentary dream. Ed did most of the on the ground work, most of the on the ground shooting. And one of the things that we understood was key right out of the gate was cultivating a close relationship with the children, and having them appreciate our presence and not find us to be pains in the asses, which Ed was very good at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to our crew. We were very nervous before we met them. We spent some time with the kids and you're really worried. And then we heard from Edith and said, oh, the kids have come up with nicknames for you. So Ed, you're the giraffe because you're so tall. JS is the baboon because he's so hairy. And Giles, the sound man, he's the jellyfish because they can't pronounce his name in English. So they just call him the jellyfish. And she said to me, they also sometimes call you Team Rocket. And if you have children, you of course know Team Rocket are the completely inept villains from Pokemon. So, it was a kind of a complicated, it was like, okay, they think of us as the inept villains from Pokemon. This is great. We've definitely integrated. And I really want to make a special shout out to our cinematographer, Jean-Sébastien Francard, who made it his mission to be Uncle JS to these kids, so that when we joined them on the trips, because we of course went with them with all the trips, they were just so excited to see him and be part of his world, that the reason you feel so connected to them, we hope in the film, is because Uncle JS is filming. It's not just JS the cinematographer, it's Uncle JS, and the kids are just playing with Uncle JS.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And like, it's a lot of like it's a family of 6 plus you guys. What was like as a filmmaker, like the biggest challenge? Because sometimes you follow just one subject, like either political or is I don't know, a person, a famous person, but now it's like a family, different places. What was like the biggest challenge for you both as a filmmakers?
Well, I can speak to the challenges of physical production. Making a film like this, you have to imagine what's involved. We have very little notice when we're going to go on a shoot. So the family will call us and say, we're going to be here in 2 weeks, come join us. But then all of a sudden you're scrambling to get your life in order so you can leave your responsibilities and go do the shoot. And for Mel and Di, the film's producers, it was like they were running like a travel agency. That was so much of the work, was just the physical logistics of getting the crew where they needed to be. Not to mention the complexities of the fact that you're in some remote part of the world, on a mountain in Nepal or a jungle somewhere. And if your camera breaks or your lens falls off a waterfall, you can't just walk to a camera store and buy a new one. You're really up Schitt's Creek. Those are some of the physical challenges of making a film like this.
Yeah, well put. I think creatively, as you hint at, when you've got so many subjects, I think it's just, this film for us was an exaggerated series of challenges that are typical to all documentaries. One of the hardest things about documentaries, and one of the most rewarding things, is that you are forced to be present at every second. And I think being a filmmaker generally, of the day, you can't take a second off. You're seeing real life unfold in front of you, and you need to be constantly making decisions that will shape the film that people finally see. And I mean practically, do you want to follow this kid? Do you want to follow this kid? Do you want to follow this parent? And one of the ways in which this film was challenging is precisely that. We had so many kids, and I want to again shout out to the cinematographer, because a lot of this experience of making the film is being so close to your cinematographer that if you're not in the moment with them, they have the skills to know what you want. But also just that he and I, that is myself and JS on the ground, we had to be constantly adapting what the focus was as something happened. And that's something that, as you work with people for a long time, like Daniel and I have, and JS, it's more of a look. You look at each other and you kind of nod in a direction, and then you follow this story. And I think you can see how excited I get. It's one of the things that just makes being a documentary filmmaker the most fun job, because you are so invigorated by everyday life and so invigorated by those choices you have to make. So it's hard, but it's just so fun and life affirming.
That's amazing. And talking about numbers, like how many hours you guys have of footage, and in what was like the moment that hit you more, like you got more emotional, like filming?
I'll go first on this one. I think we probably had upwards of 300 hours of footage. Edith herself, the mom, had filmed maybe 200 hours just by herself, and then maybe we had another 200 on top of that. So there was a lot to go through, but we're working with editors of the highest caliber who really helped shape the story for us as we got into the editing suites. Your second part of the question was about like hitting, what was the moment that hit you, how like got your emotionals up? Like I think for me, the most emotional moment was when we were doing the interviews with the children. There's this moment in the film that you've seen where Colin is asked, the second youngest boy, is he scared of the future? And he says, no, of course I'm not scared of the future. I'm going to get a guide cat. I don't need a guide dog. I'm going to get a guide cat. And I remember sitting there, we were in this very tiny grotto under the stairs of the family house, and it was a really tiny space. We were all pouring with sweat. There was far too many people in the room. And I remember initially laughing at that comment because I thought, as Daniel so beautifully put it, this is the kid logic in action. What an incredibly funny thing to say. And at the same time, I laughed, and then I almost immediately started crying because I was like, what thing could you say that more better reflected what it means to be a child and how you can deal with the future with this kind of joy and humor and openness to the world? And it just broke my heart in two hearing that comment. And I remember all of the crew members at that moment looking at each other and having to hide the tears and hide the sound of the tears because we didn't want to ruin this incredible shot that, as you saw, made it into the movie. I don't think that's Daniel's favorite though.
My favorite moment in the film are when the boys are beating the shit out of each other with sticks. I always view this film as a story of tiny little moments, and that one I think is my favorite because I remember being a little boy and just like being violent and wanting to destroy stuff and break stuff and whack people with sticks. And it's this weird thing about boyhood. And I think that I kind of forgot about it until I saw that. And I was like, oh, that hits so hard. I forgot what it's like to be 10.
Yes, that's right. Also, the documentary is like visually stunning. They have like this amazing visuals from the places and everything. What was like the main inspiration, and what was like the decision to do those type of shots? And sometimes you have like eye level shots as well, like wide shots and everything.
For us, there was a very clear sense quite early in the film that there were two perspectives that we were trying to bring together. We had the emotional story of grief as the parents dealt with losing one idea of the future they had and gaining another, and we had the very wondrous perspective as the kids as they explored the world. So from a cinematic perspective, that translated quite nicely to, well, as you said, we have those eye level shots where you feel like another sibling in the family. And then you have these grandiose natural beauty shots that speak so well to them because the world is made up of these huge gestures and these tiny gestures. And for a film filled with moments, it was having these two things put into conversation that I think brings the most emotion out of the story. And I think for me personally, if you remember the part in the film where Laurent talks about being scared of losing his vision, and then we go to this very quiet, very cinematic scene of the children experiencing the natural beauty of these incredible mountains. But if you think about it, it's a very short shot. And for us, there were ways in which we were trying to capture, yes, this is the natural world in all its beauty, but these are the kind of fleeting experiences you have of the person. We kind of half remember things that happen, and these beautiful things last for the fraction of a second. And what really sticks with us is really that emotional, familial connection that we have. And I guess I'm speaking about love, and this family is filled with love. And love in this context is just the very fact of being together in these moments.
So beautiful, so beautiful. You know, you guys, I don't know. I love the documentary. I think it's amazing. You guys, this family is such an amazing family. Oh my God, so a lot of love. And I think they're encouraging all the parents out there to do, to create these memories, you know, regardless if they have a health issue or not, but they need to create these memories. I think it's very important. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, Daniel, Ed.
Thank you so much for having us.
I love your art. I want to see where I can buy your art, Daniel.
Oh, send someone your address and I'll send you.
Daniel, show it to the camera. Show her what you've been doing.
Let me.
I just am painting 105 little paintings, and then I'll rip them up and I'll sew them back together, and then I'll rip them up again and sew them back together. Much like making food.
That's good. Love it.
But if you want, I can put you on my mailing list and send you a piece of artwork.
I want to. I'll give my address to them. Thank you so much for your time, and I love the documentary.
Thank you so much for your thoughts.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.
you.